Question number 176. Read following sentences carefully and select the incorrect statement. And the very first statement is, water-soluble hormones produce secondary messengers and accelerate biochemical reactions in the cell. And as it is a correct statement, so this cannot be a correct answer to our question, because water-soluble hormones bind to the extracellular receptors. And this hormone receptor complex brings about conformation changes in the receptor and produces secondary messengers such as calcium or cyclic AMP. The next statement given is, receptors for fat-soluble hormones are intracellular in location. And as it is also a correct statement, so this cannot be a correct answer to our question, because water-soluble hormones have membrane-bound receptors, whereas fat-soluble hormones or lipid-soluble hormones have intracellular receptors. The next statement given is, thyroxine hormone with specific intracellular receptor regulates the gene expression. And as it is also a correct statement, so this cannot be a correct answer to our question. Thyroxine hormone or thyroid hormones are iodothyronins, and these are lipid-soluble hormones. These hormones have intracellular receptors, and this hormone receptor complex then regulates the gene expression within the cell. The last statement given is, cyclic GMP is a secondary messenger for adrenaline that interacts with intracellular or nuclear receptors. And as it is an incorrect statement, so this is a correct answer to our question, because adrenaline is an amino acid derivative. It's a water-soluble hormone and it interacts with the membrane-bound receptor. So this adrenaline or epinephrine, it binds to the membrane-bound receptor, and this will lead to the conformation changes in the cytoplasmic part of this receptor, and this will produce what? The secondary messenger, which is cyclic AMP and not cyclic GMP. So this cyclic GMP is not a secondary messenger for adrenaline, and it will interact with membrane-bound receptors and not with intracellular receptors. So the correct answer to this question is option number 4. Let's discuss our next question. Question number 177. Pathway traveled by an impulse in a reflex action is known as reflex arc, represented by a flow chart by which option? And as you can see here, this is a diagrammatic representation of reflex action showing knee-jerk reflex. You can see that when the stimulus is received on muscle spindle or receptor, then the sensory neuron through afferent pathway reaches dorsal root ganglia, and from there it reaches central nervous system or spinal cord, and from there this motor neuron will carry the impulse through efferent pathway to the motor end plate or effector organ. So the correct pathway would be from receptor through sensory neuron to CNS, then to motor neuron, and then to effector. So the correct answer to this question is option number 2, that is receptor, sensory neuron, CNS, motor neuron, and effector. Let's discuss other options also. The very first option given is sensory neurons and then receptor, and this is an incorrect option because receptor sends impulse to the sensory neuron. Then from this receptor to motor neuron to CNS effector, so it's an incorrect option. The third option is receptor, sensory neuron, motor neuron, and then to CNS and effector, and this is also an incorrect option because this impulse is carried from receptor to sensory neuron to CNS and then to motor neuron. The last option given is effector, then sensory neuron, CNS, motor neuron, and receptor, and this is also an incorrect option. So the correct answer to this question is option number 2. Let's discuss our next question. Question number 178. Select the incorrect statement with respect to full contraction of a muscle fiber. And the very first option given is, length of sarcomere becomes equal to the length of A band. And as it is a correct statement, so this cannot be a correct answer to our question. As you can see here in this diagrammatic representation of muscle contraction, this A band consists of thin and thick filament, and this is myosin or thick filament, and then these are the thin filaments. As the muscle contract, these actin filaments start to come close to each other, and at the end, in a fully contracted muscle, these Z lines, they come very close to each other, and this region between two Z lines represents a single sarcomere, and this is equivalent to the length of A band. The next statement is, increase in overlap zone is seen, and as it is a correct statement, so this is an incorrect option. As a muscle starts to contract, there is increase in overlap zone. The next statement is, length of its zone and I band increases. And as it is an incorrect statement, so this is a correct answer to our question. Because as the muscle is contracting, there is reduction in the length of I band as well as in the edge zone. The next option is length of actin and myosin filaments remains unchanged. And as it is a correct statement, so this cannot be a correct answer to our question. Because the length of these myofilaments, that is actin and myosin, they remain unchanged. They remain constant. It is only the length of this I band, edge zone or overlapping zone that changes. So the correct answer to this question is option number 3. Let's discuss our next question. Question number 179. Which of the following is mismatched? And the very first option is vitreous humor, and the match given is present between lens and retina. And as it is a correct match, so this cannot be a correct answer to our question. This vitreous humor is filled in vitreous cavity or vitreous chamber which is present between lens and retina. The next option given is rhodopsin, and the match given is visual purple found in rods. And as it is also a correct match, so this cannot be a correct answer to our question, because rhodopsin is a photopigment which is present in rods in retina of human eye. The next option given is scala media, and the match given is filled with endolymph. And as it is also a correct match, so this cannot be a correct answer to our question. The scala media is filled with endolymph, whereas scala vestibuli and scala tympani is filled with perilymph. The last option given is middle ear cavity, and the match given is connected with scala vestibuli through round window. And this is an incorrect match, so this is a correct answer to our question. Because the scala vestibuli is connected to the middle ear cavity through oval window and not through round window. As you can see here, this scala vestibuli is connected through this oval window with the middle ear cavity. It is the scala tympani which is connected through round window to middle ear cavity. So the correct answer to this question is option number 4. Let's discuss our next question. Question number 180. Select the incorrect match, and the very first option given is simple goiter, and a match given is deficiency of iodine in diet. And as it is a correct match, so this cannot be a correct answer to our question. It is a deficiency of iodine in diet which results in low secretion of thyroid hormone, and this will lead to hypothyroidism and enlargement of thyroid gland, which is known as simple goiter. The next option given is thymosin, and the match given is training school of T lymphocytes. And as it is also a correct match, so this cannot be a correct answer to our question. Thymosin is a peptide hormone which is released from the thymus gland. And this hormone regulates the maturation of T lymphocytes. And it is this thymosin hormone which is known as the training school of T lymphocytes. The next option given is exophthalmic goiter, and the match given is Graves' disease. And as it is a correct match, so this cannot be a correct answer to our question, because it is this exophthalmic goiter which is also known as Graves' disease. In Graves' disease, a thyroid gland is enlarged accompanied by bulging of eyeballs, which is exophthalmic. So this is exophthalmic goiter. It is considered as an autoimmune disorder in which person produces antibodies which mimics the action of TSH. So this is an incorrect option. And the last option given is myxedema, and the match given is hyperthyroidism during childhood in males. And this is an incorrect match, so this is a correct answer to our question, because myxedema, also known as Gall's disease, is because of the hyposecretion from thyroid gland or because of hypothyroidism, and it is more common in females. So the correct answer to this question is option number 4. So with this question, I would like to end up the discussion of this AIATS paper. I hope all your doubts and queries have been solved regarding this paper. Thank you very much for watching, and all the best.